You know, when Chris O'Neill and Princess Madeleine returned to Stockholm after many years in Florida, many people were wondering how this independent American businessman would fit into the strict framework of Swedish royal life. And now, in literally 10 days, Chris will face a real test of strength, the Nobel Banquet, where all eyes are on the royal family, where every detail matters, and where even the smallest mistake is not acceptable. But to be honest, after I learned about his triumph at the event last year, I have no doubts at all. This man definitely knows how to charm people. Last year, Chris was seated at the table next to Han Kang, the Nobel Prize laureate in literature, and instead of trying to impress her with high-minded topics, he simply talked like a regular person about the family's move back to Sweden, sharing everyday stories. And you know what? Han Kang later admitted to journalists that she became genuinely happy when the conversation shifted to Chris. He was so pleasant to talk to that she truly had a wonderful time. That is what I call real talent, when you can be yourself, even in such formal circumstances, and still leave only warm impressions behind. Now, Chris lives only about 2 kilometers from the Blue Hall, where the famous banquet takes place, and this is his second year in a row attending the event. Yes, earlier, the distance and his incredibly busy work schedule made him skip some of the Nobel festivities, but now everything has changed. And with the move came new obligations and new expectations. King Carl Gustaf, of course, wants to see his son-in-law perform flawlessly, because at the Nobel banquet, the entire royal family is under the close attention of not only the Swedish people, but the whole world. Royal experts note that Chris understands perfectly well that this is not the kind of occasion where one can show creativity or interpret the rules in one's own way. At the Nobel events, he is representing the royal family, and it is extremely important for the king that Chris is at his very best. But I am sure there is nothing to worry about. This man has already proven that he can handle royal duties brilliantly while keeping his individuality and natural charm. And what about Madeleine herself? While Chris prepares for the Nobel banquet, the princess is deeply involved in her charitable work. And I must say, she has truly blossomed since returning to Stockholm. At a recent charity dinner for the World Childhood Foundation, the organization founded by her mother, Queen Sylvia, back in 1999, Madeleine appeared in a look that perfectly reflected her new approach to life. From a bright and trendy princess who used to love ruffles and prints, she has transformed into an elegant businesswoman who knows how to speak through style. Her outfit for that evening was genuinely exquisite. A slightly sheer black midi dress with thin silver threads running through the fabric created an effect of understated luxury. But instead of relying on sparkle or a bold neckline, Madeleine added a velvet blazer, giving the look a sense of pre-holiday seriousness. And that is the whole secret of her new style. She has learned to balance femininity and professionalism, royal status, and modern ambition. Recently, blazers have become Madeleine's true signature. Black, turquoise, cream. She wears them at practically every public event. And I think this is not just a fashion hobby. In this way, the princess is telling the world, I am more than just a member of the royal family. She is actively engaged in charity. She launched her own family cosmetics brand in the year 2025. She became an entrepreneur. The small shoulders under the fabric of the blazer make her silhouette more structured, emphasize the line of the shoulders, but thanks to her long, light hair, the look still remains soft and feminine. Returning to Chris and his upcoming challenge, the Nobel Banquet is not just a beautiful event. It is a 2-day celebration, where the banquet itself takes place first, and the next day, the king hosts the traditional dinner. And Chris will accompany Madeleine at both events. I think that for both of them, this period after returning to Sweden has become a kind of new beginning. They lived many years in relative anonymity in Florida, where Chris could focus on his business, and Madeleine could raise the children far from constant media attention. Now, they are once again at the very center of events, at one of the most prestigious addresses in Stockholm. And judging by everything, they are handling this transition surprisingly well. Chris shows that you can remain yourself and still fit perfectly into royal protocol. His natural charm and social talent make him a welcome guest at any event. And Madeleine has found her new style not only in clothing, but in life. She is not just a royal princess. She is an active public figure, an entrepreneur, a mother of 3 children. And between them, you can clearly see the warmth and mutual understanding that helped them go through all these changes together. When you look at them now, it becomes clear. Returning to Sweden was the right decision. Yes, it means more obligations, more publicity, more expectations. But it also means being closer to family, playing a more active role in the life of the royal household, and developing charitable projects at home. And these weeks before the Nobel Banquet are like a symbol of this new stage. Chris is choosing his tailcoat and preparing to charm new people at the banquet table. Madeleine is working on her projects, combining elegance with professionalism. And somewhere between official events, they are building their new life in Stockholm. I think this is exactly what modern royal life is about, finding balance between traditions and personal freedom, between duties and your own interests, between who you must be and who you truly are. And if Chris once again performs brilliantly at the Nobel Banquet, and I have no doubt that he will be yet another proof that he and Madeleine have found their formula for happiness in this complicated world of royal conventions.